Hello there! So today we're replacing the cooling fan and upgrading RAM on an HP Pavilion X360. So first of all, we're gonna try to turn it on to try to replicate the error for you to see. So as you can see on screen right now, it's trying to power up, but it will just keep on going on circles and circles. For the demonstration, I just sped it up and cut off some of the footage from it. It went on for over 30 minutes on this screen, so I then just decided to cut it off. It went to a different screen, but it never got to the startup page, the Windows startup page. So I forced a shutdown there and gave it another shot, and it went back to it. So what I was trying to get is the error message that I've been getting, which is what's on screen right now, and it reads: the system has detected that a cooling fan is not operating correctly. Continue operation is not recommended and may cause unpredictable behavior that could result in random shutdown, data loss, or possible system damage. The system will shut down in 15 seconds. To prevent shutdown and continue operation, press enter. So what I did then is look into the error and went into Amazon, because this is basically related to the cooling fan. It wasn't working, was making a lot of noise, so I decided to get a new cooling fan, and taking advantage of the actual work that I was gonna put in, I decided to get this 8 gig RAM. I'm gonna link the products in the description below for you to get them if you need to. So what we're gonna do then is start with disassembly. So these are some tricky ones. So I've seen that some of them don't have it, but my model specifically has 2 screws underneath those pads, but it's just on the 2 behind. The 2 in front, as you saw previously, they don't have anything underneath, so I would advise for you to remove them anyway and check it. If they do have it, then just take it off and then take every single one of these off as well. You also have these ones that are covered by some rubber protection, and this is covered by some plastic as well as the ones in the middle. So once you have unscrewed the back part of the computer, then you can proceed to the front portion of it. And you want to go into the hinges and pop the keyboard up. Once you do that, you will see these 2 connections going from the keyboard to the motherboard. So unattach those 2 and you're basically gonna take the whole keyboard off. Now proceed with disassembly. So remove every connection that is going from the hardware to the motherboard, and then as you can see on the top of the screen, you have your cooling fan up in there, which is the one that we're going to replace. Make sure power is disconnected as well. You don't want to work on the motherboard on the computer at all if there is power on it. So now in order to get the cooling fan unattached from the computer, you're gonna need to remove the connection to the Wi-Fi card. This is a little bit complicated because it has a couple of connectors attached to it. One it's right, one it's left. You're gonna need to be very careful with it. They are labeled, so you can either take a picture, make a note or something, because it's really easy to mix them up. So now here's the replacing cooling fan. And again, this was a fairly inexpensive part that I got from Amazon. So if you're interested in getting one, I'm just gonna link it below. Please use the link below if you feel like getting one. That's gonna help me. So the screws on the cooling fan are a little bit thinner or smaller than the overall screw, as you can see there. So make sure you place them in different sections so you don't mix them up. So in order to get the cooling fan off, you're gonna need to take the whole motherboard off. And the problem with it is that it's firmly attached to it. So remove every single screw that is keeping the motherboard attached to the case. And there it is. So this is a Wi-Fi card again, so be very careful with it. You don't want to damage it, or you don't want to force it or anything like that. So we have the RAM slot over here, so we're gonna take advantage of it and we're gonna replace it now. There's a lid on top of it, but it's not on the motherboard right now because I firstly removed it when I was checking the fan. So the RAM is pretty straightforward. Just put it in the socket, and then cover it up. So this is the tiny screws again, and it's what's keeping the fan attached to the cooling mechanism. So remove every screw from it. It's the same size as the previous one that I showed you, but you want to keep them separated. So you want to take advantage of the disassembly to clean it up a little. There was a lot of dust collected in it. And here you can see them side by side. So it's a lot cheaper than the OEM part. So there are some differences in between the two, but it fits the purpose. It does what it is supposed to do. So let's just assemble it. So put it in place, and then you just want to start to screw them back up. And the Wi-Fi card. Make sure that it is connected. You don't want to do it all over again just to get it corrected. This is the RAM lid that I was talking about. So you just want to make sure that there's some indents in there. It's a little bit complicated to do, but it's just a matter of attaching it. So if you look closely now, it's just a matter of getting it attached there. So there's a lid, and you just have to make sure that it is attached to it. So now let's proceed with reassemble. So it's basically the same process backwards. So just start to connect everything back into the motherboard, and make sure that the last thing you connect is the power. And this is the Wi-Fi card. Make sure that's correct. It's a little bit hard to do because the connector is really small, so you just have to go in there. And power. So now it's just a matter of getting the hardware attached back to the case. So just put the screws back in and make sure that it is solidly attached. So now put the keyboard back on and make sure you're connecting it back to the motherboard. So the same process, and then just make sure that everything is attached on the sides. Go all around it. So now screw it back up from the back, as you did when we first started with the disassembly. So for demonstrating purposes, I'm just attaching a couple of them and trying to power it up. So the fan is working, I can feel the wind coming out of it, and it's trying to power up. Since we made some hardware changes to the computer, then it is trying to reconfigure the whole thing. And it went nowhere. Go figure. So I went online and checked for some solutions to it, and it basically said to go into the configuration and run some diagnostics. So the fan is powered, the computer is booting up, so I decided to go ahead and reattach everything on the back. And it's still going. So I went online and looked for the error and trying to find any kind of solution for it. And the only thing that I could find is that I need to run some diagnostics on the back. So I rebooted the computer because it was just stuck on this screen. Went into the configuration by pressing escape when it's booting up. So from there, you have to go into the diagnostics, select your language, and of course run diagnostics. Now this took forever. It was around a couple of hours, I think. So we're just gonna speed it up. And just for you to see, it worked. It's booting up. That's my session, password, and we're in. So thanks for watching. I hope this helps. If it did, leave me a like, subscribe, leave me a comment if you have any questions, and see you next time.